All right, so the recording has started. I think we can get into the topics. So just because Amit and Abhishek, you guys are new to this class, I mean, the training, this will be our first session, right? So I'll just give you the recap of what we had the discussion yesterday. Okay. So this is what the discussion we had, whatever that you're seeing it on this Excel. So I had just given a high level background of how this training is going to be like, which is 2 month schedule. And we are going to get trained every day 1 hour from Monday to Friday, but not over the weekends. So you can use that time for your practice. And it will be initially we have started with 8 to 9 a.m. in the morning, but due to some my project issues that I'm having, which I need to spend my little efforts in the late nights, I was unable to pick this up early in the morning. So we decided to kind of have it in the evening times. So which is currently going on. And it's going to be roughly 40 plus sessions that we are going to have in this entire training. So which includes 2 modules, global HR and absence management. Okay, so this is just to give you some background of how this training is going to be. And we are going to focus mainly on this application, which is called Oracle Fusion HCM, out of so many modules that we have in this, we are going to focus on only 2 modules. And we are going to learn functionally as well as technically on these 2 modules. Like whatever the configurations we need to perform, we will go through all those configurations, as well as the technical concepts, which is quite common across all the modules. So that's on a high level what we have discussed. And obviously the kind of overview on the ERP tool, like what exactly is an ERP. So I suggest you to go through the recording of yesterday so that you can get a clear picture of what we discussed initially. Then you can connect yourself with the today's session. Okay. All right. So we were actually having an example yesterday using which I wanted to continue the sessions so that we can relate what exactly the topics that we are discussing with the real-time scenarios, right? So the topic or the example that what we have discussed yesterday is, so there is a company which is called ABC Solutions, okay, who wanted to implement Oracle Fusion HCM. And how they have decided to go for Oracle Fusion HCM is something I have discussed yesterday, which you can go through, right? So based on some factors, they have decided that they want to implement Oracle Fusion for their own company. And they are reaching out to a company called IBM, who is an implementation provider right now in the market. Because ABC Solutions team might not be having the people who can implement Oracle. So they just got the demo from Oracle sales team and got the license, but no one is there to implement it for them. So that is the reason they are reaching out to the implementation providers in the market, and they figured out IBM is best currently, and they have given the project to them. Okay. So next thing, what happened? So IBM business team, whomever is having the business analysis team in the IBM call, right? So they'll be sitting with the ABC Solutions, and they will try to understand the entire business structure, like how they are operating, in which are all the domains they are in, what kind of countries they are operating in, right? Everything they will try to understand, and they will document that. Okay. So after document, that document will be kind of signed off by the ABC Solutions. Yes, this is the requirement that what we have given, and you can start with the configurations. So this is on a high level how it happens. So after that, so anything that you want to perform, first thing what you have to do, you have to get into the application, right? That dedicated application for ABC Solutions, which was given by Oracle, right? Initially, when they have got the license, they would have got the application access. For example, like this is an URL which is given by Oracle to ABC Solutions team. So by using this URL, they can get into the application, right? So that is our first concept. So how these users can be created for the login, because that is the ultimate thing. Just a minute, I'll do. It's okay. That's totally. I'm trying to take out the notifications. Just a minute, I'll just take this out from my screen so that are you guys able to see some notifications on the screen, or is it just that I'm seeing it?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so I'll just try to take that out so that it won't impact our training session. Anyway, let it come in between, so that's okay. So that's what we have discussed. So initially, whatever that you want to perform or you want to learn or anything, first thing is you have to get into the application, right? So how we can get into the application and how exactly an user can get created and what sort of access that user can get in what way. Like this kind of, no, that is exactly what we are going to learn today. Okay. So let me just open this presentation. And before we get into this, so just on a high level, so anything that you're thinking, you might be having some confusion till this point, you don't need to worry about what exactly entire Fusion application is all about. But any kind of questions or clarification that you want to clarify before we step in? Anyone? Okay,
No, sir.
right. Perfect. So then we can get started with this. So we're going to focus today on user management and roles, because this is the ultimate thing. In order to do any kind of configurations, you have to get inside, which means you need an user to get created for this. You need an user login to get inside the application. Okay, so let's understand how many types of users that are currently available in Oracle Fusion, right? So we do have two different types of users, main types of users. So one is called implementation admin users and second is called employee users. Now let's understand the difference between these two. So implementation or admin users, we can call them. So who exactly are called implementation users? So this could be some of the interview questions. So whenever I say that this could be some of the interview question, so it's better you can make a note of it somewhere so that it's easy for you to consolidate that list of interview questions and it's easy for you to recap before any kind of interviews that you're going through. Okay. So two types of users, as we said, implementation and employee users. So we call a certain users called implementation users, and that set of people are basically like this. So right now, ABC Solutions has given the project to IBM team, which means IBM is the implementation provider here, like which means they are going to implement Oracle Fusion for ABC Solutions. That is clear, right? So out of the IBM team, let's say there are 5 people in the IBM right now. So for those 5 people, we have to create the user logins for them. Officially, they are not a part of ABC Solutions team. They are not belonging to ABC Solutions and they are not employees to them, right? So they are part of IBM, but they are going to work as an implementation user for ABC Solution, right? So that is where we can call that particular people who are going to help implementing uh, Oracle Fusion for any of the customer. So those set of people are called implementation users. Okay. So, so that is what the significance behind it. Now let's understand what is employee users, right? So it's basically any login or any user from ABC Solutions team are called employee users. It could be right now, let's say ABC Solutions is having 2000 employees, right? So all those 2000 employees would be having the access to Oracle Fusion. It could be the reason they would have the access, maybe like they want to view the personal information of themselves and they want to view the salary, or if they want to apply a leave, right? If they want to apply the timesheets, anything. So it's for their own benefit. So all those employees and their user logins are called employee users. So clear on these two terms? So just stop me in between if you have any kind of questions. Okay.
Clear, clear.
All right. Now let's get into our navigations, right? That's the main thing. So next thing, steps to create a user. So it's a basic thing which you all should know. If you say that you know about Oracle Fusion, you should at least have this basic background of it. So how to do this, user creation, log into Oracle Fusion, and then you have this particular navigation which you need to understand. Now let's get into the Oracle application first. So just a minute. Okay. All right. So this is how an Oracle Fusion HCM page looks like. Now let me just sign out and do a quick sign in again so that you can see how this login can get done. So this is a basic sign in page and user ID and password just the way how we do with our Gmails or Facebooks or anything, right? So you can do a sign in. I have saved the password, so I'm just directly signing in. So whenever you sign in, you'll get to see this kind of home page and there are different icons scattered across different places here. So you can see sales, Redwood sales, service, me, different tiles are available. Just you don't need to worry about anything else right now, like what exactly is service, procurement. Don't worry about anything else, right? Just understand this is how a home page looks like. And right now we are going to focus only on navigation to create the users. So you can actually swipe towards to the next tabs using these icons. And you can find something called tools. Okay. So this is what the navigation is. Whenever you understand navigation from here, tools, so under which we have the security console, then users, add user account. Now let's understand this. So under the tools, we have this tab called security console. So get inside this. And then there will be a section called users on the left side, right? So when you click on this, you can see some other options coming up. So there is something called add user account. So let's get into this and understand the options available. Okay, so you do have some information called user information. And there is this user category, which is by default, there was something which is given. So we can customize this and I'll tell you the significance of what exactly is a user category is. So don't worry about that right now. So now let's try to create some of the user account here. Okay, so I'll just pick a name. Maybe let's say I'm just creating with Abhishek Kumar's. Abhishek Kumar's user account. Let's say Abhishek is from IBM. So IBM. So Abhishek is going to help ABC Solutions to implement Oracle Fusion. Let's say he's a part of the implementation team. Okay. So Abhishek, and I'm just giving the last name as Abhishek Kumar. And whenever I just go for the next thing, so you can see username is getting auto-populated. So Abhishek.Kumar, which means first name dot last name. I can even give some email address, abhishek.kumar@gmail.com. Okay. See, this is something which is getting auto-generated based on this particular user category. Okay. So let's say I don't want first name dot last name to be username for the people. I want their email to be the username. So if you want to have that automatically, that also you can customize using these user categories. Okay, so we can try to create one user category and understand how it works. But let's try to understand the existing flow here. So the next thing, so password. Let me just try to just give something like this. I just typed out something. Okay, and there is something called password policy here. So it says simple, at least 8 characters, 1 number. Okay, so right now I haven't given any numeric here. And when I try to save and close, so it's throwing me an error because it's not meeting the password policies. Even this can be customized. So if you want to customize a password policy according to your organization policy requirements, you can also customize that, which again lies in the user category. Okay. All right, so that is the thing which we need to understand. Now let me just meet this requirement to save and close this. So I'm just giving welcome one, and then I'm going to save and close. So yeah, before I do that, there is some other section called roles here, right? So we will come to this. We are just talking about the user creation. We will come to the roles part. What exactly the significance for the roles? We'll try to understand that also. For now, let me just try to save and close. All right. Now what we will do? So we'll just try to log in into Abhishek's login and understand what is the difference between the existing login and the Abhishek's login, right? Let's try to look into that so that we can find something to discuss over there. Okay. Now let me just copy this URL and just put it into the incognito so that I can log in with a new account. It's asking me to sign in. So I'll just type Kumar and password is welcome one. So I'm getting into sign in login right now. Right. So whenever you log in, so you're not landing into the home page directly. So the first thing you might be seeing some kind of so let it comes that again show you. Yeah. See some errors are there, but don't worry, it's not a home page that you can see, right? Something called as a program overview or member insights, some transaction analysis. So this is a page even before the home page which appears. For example, if you want to showcase some information to all the employees in the system, like all the employees in the company, right? So then you can actually project that kind of advertisements here so that whenever someone logs in, so they will be landed in here first. They can see the news or any other information that they want to see. Then they can go back to the home page. So there are multiple ways how you can land into homepage. So one is you can click on this icon, whatever that your company might be having, or else there is this other thing called homepage. So you can click either one, that will take you to homepage. All right. So I have logged in using Abhishek's login, and the difference what you can see from the other login is that other login was having so many tiles, so many sections here, right? But this login doesn't have anything. So that is the main difference which will come up with a concept called roles. Okay, so we just created a user. We haven't assigned any kind of roles to Abhishek, saying that Abhishek can be an HR specialist or implementation consultant. I'm just telling you the names. Don't worry about the names. So those are some kind of roles what Oracle has given. So we haven't given any kind of those roles. That is the reason the login and the access is very simple here. Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's go back here. So we were talking about something called user categories, right? And if you observe that, it's right over here. So when I click on this, so we just saw that there is only one which was created by default, which is called default. Okay. Now let me just get inside this and understand what are the options we have. So if you see this username generation role, first name dot last name, so that's how it's automatically getting created. And there is something called user like password policy. Let's get inside. And when I edit this, so days before password expiration, like once your account gets created, you need to reset your password for every 90 days. And after 80 days, you'll get a password expiry warning. And there's some other options. You can see password complexity. So there are 4 different types. So simple, 8 characters, 1 digit. So when you go with complex, one uppercase should be there, very complex, something like minimum special characters, and you can even do the custom thing. So for example, you have to have minimum of 16 characters and 1 uppercase and 1 digit, something like this. If you want to even do that, you can also do it. And also, if you don't want to allow the last passwords which are used, you can always do it. Just some kind of random or options given by Oracle, okay? So you don't need to worry about that. So that's how exactly the user categories works. And here you can actually see all the users who are currently available in the system. And some notifications as well. If someone is resetting the password, or if you want to trigger a password to trigger an email to reset the password, you can control all those notifications right here. So you can see some are disabled, some are enabled, right? So based on your company's requirement, you can always modify these options. Okay. So that's just a high level of how exactly an user account gets created. Now we have changed, no, we haven't modified anything yet so far. So if you want to change that password generation, I mean the username generation from last name dot first name to Gmail, like the email. So you can do that and you can even try it out. So that would be some kind of test case or test case study for you. So first thing is that we are going to give you the application URL. So by using which you can log in, but ensure that you are going to create your own user account. That will be your first case study today. So after creating that, so try to modify the user category and make your email to your username instead of having the first name that last name, like which is by default here. So try to create one more. Okay. And then try to modify the password policy as well as username policy and try to apply for your own logins there. Okay. So these 2 things you can try it out, I guess. Any confusions in the requirement, at least for today's case study?
No, no.
Okay. All right, now let's get inside or get back to our PPT. So we understood how exactly we can create the user. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. So initially what we have discussed, how many types of users we have. So one is an implementation user and one is the employee user. And we understood the significance as well. So now the next thing, how many types of workers or persons we have in Oracle Fusion HCM. So we use this terminology very frequently in HCM, which is called workers. So this is not very unprofessional. Like in IT terminology, we are using this term called workers, basically to represent people. Okay. So we do have 4 different types of workers across complete Oracle Fusion HCM. Whatever the module that you consider, mainly these 4 categories will be there. Okay. Now let's understand what exactly these categories are referring to. Let's go back to our Excel. So, but don't get confused yourself with types of users and types of persons or the workers. Okay. All right. So the first category what we have is the pending work. Let's understand this terminology very clearly because this is going to be playing a very vital role in learning the entire training, whatever that you are going through for the absence management or core HR. This would be a definitely important and interesting concept that you need to understand. Even in the real-time concepts, you are going to experience this category. Okay. So the name itself gives you some hint of what exactly this is. So pending workers. So which means I'll just give you an example. So ABC Solutions is a company, right? But now we are just taking this example. So someone got hired for ABC Solutions as a solution architect. Forget about any title. It may be an IT specialist, solution architect, anything. Someone is getting hired for ABC Solutions. Okay. And that person's hire date is, let's assume, hire date is some Feb 1st, 2025. Obviously, that's how it happens, right? So if someone is going through an interview for ABC Solutions, they would be having an hire date in the future, right? After they get processed and shortlisted with everything and discussions are over, their like joining date would be in the future. Okay. So let's assume there is a person who is coming in. Let's understand Harish is the person. So whose hire date is in February 1st, 2025. And that is the date when Harish is going to join the ABC Solutions. So till February 1st, so what will happen? So in order to make sure that entire information is getting stored and to make sure that laptop is getting allocated and project is getting allocated or something else to make the Outlook gets active, right? So what ABC Solutions team will do? So they will create Harish as a pending worker in Oracle Fusion HCM before Feb 1st itself. So that they will have the entire information of Harish, like it could be his personal information, his personal email address, like, the primary address or the work details, like phone details, like anything. It could be national identifiers, anything, right? So they will try to have the entire information in Oracle, but this person is getting stored or created as a pending worker because this person is not, being converted as an employee yet. Only from Feb 1st, Harish will be an employee to ABC Solutions. So till that point, this person will be created as a pending worker. Okay. So which means before the joining date itself, they will be created as this category. And why do we create the pending workers? I just explained you. So just to ensure that the proper access is given exactly on the date of joining date, right? On February 1st, let's say from morning 9 a.m. is the starting time for Harish. So at that time itself, we need to ensure every access is already provided to this person so that that doesn't waste one more day for this, right? So that is the reason why pending workers gets created. All right, now let's move on to the next thing, which is called non-workers. So guys, stop me whenever you have any confusions, as I said. So or else you can just drop your question in the chat box. So next, what do we have? Non-workers. So again, the name is saying this person is something who is not going to work effectively in the system, right? So this person is not a regular employee, but this information is needed because some kind of association is available for this person with the organization. If we just go with an examples, right? It could be someone who is doing a freelancing. See, that person is not an active employee in the system. That person is not going to, go through all the employee activities in the system. But let's say he is a freelancer doing something in the organization. Or let's say someone who is retired, but still they want to have their information in the system for some kind of benefits or maybe something else, but they're not going to actively work in the system. So it could be any category, right? Maybe someone's nominee. Let's say, right, I'll just take the same example again. So Harish is an employee in the system. And let's say there are two dependents for Harish, like, their brothers, their two brothers are part of the nominees. Maybe ABC Solutions is giving them a health insurance. So even for their benefits. So at that time, what we can do, so those two people, we can create them as a non-workers in the system so that that particular information can be used for these benefits. Okay, maybe in order to have some claims or anything else, right? So basic agenda here or basic significance here is these persons are not actively working in the system, but they are there for some reason. That's it. Okay. Now let's go back here and we just have two other categories. And these two categories are very important and pretty much majority of the people are across these two categories. So contingent worker and employee. Now let's understand this. and employee. So contingent worker seems very technical term, but this is nothing but the contractors. Okay. So we can call these people as contractors. And we do have different types of contractors as well. So contingent worker is actually classified into multiple types. So one we can say it as direct contractors, and the other one we can call it as third party contractors. Okay. So it's not needed that every company should have these two categories. Some companies might just use the word called contractors or contingent worker, or some companies might be like an MNC might be having different classifications in the contractors as well. So they can use this again for the classification. Okay. So just the basic difference between these two is like, direct contractors are nothing but, where ABC Solutions hire them and they are going to pay them. Maybe let's say for next 1 year, the contract will be there and they'll be out, where ABC Solutions will directly pay them. But when we say third party contractors, so ABC Solutions might be reaching out to some consultancy, right? So where they can get the people from that consultancy, and ABC Solutions is going to pay only to the consultancy, not to those people directly, right? So that will be some kind of difference which you can observe, and not major difference, I would say. So that's how the contractors or contingent worker is a category among all these four different types of workers. And the last one is very simple. The employee is like someone who is directly associated with the company and directly getting paid by the company and all the benefits from the company, right? Or so that's how a long-term relation is getting created with an employee type. So that's how the simple it is. So employee is just called as a employee. I'll just say this. So these four were the different types of workers or the persons available in the system. So, and very, very important question. If you are going through the interview, this is the basic question that they can ask you, like how many types of persons are available in Oracle Fusion. Spending workers, non-workers, contingent worker, and employee. Okay. So any questions so far?
No, sir. Clear.
Okay. That's good. All right. Now let's try to understand what do we have on the next slide. So we did kind of covered about the user management, like how many types of users, persons, and how it gets created, categories, and everything. Now the next concept, which is called roles. And we call this particular concept as security as well. Because based on the roles, the complete access or application security is being controlled. Right? Because if you are giving some HR specialist role, which is this human resource specialist. So the person who got this access can actually hire an employee, terminate an employee, promote, transfer, do many of the HR related activities. But if you have just given an employee access, they can just view their own information and nothing else that they can do, right? So that kind of security is getting controlled using the concept called roles. Okay. So this is just a basic slide, what you're seeing here, who, what, and which means who can do what in the system and for which information that they can perform these activities. So as I said, employee can only act anything on their self information, nothing else, right? It could be little confusing in the initial stage, but if you try to, understand this perspective, so there are three different types of persons in the system. Okay. Or self-service, we can call it. Let me just go back. So three self-services. So one is employee self-service. And next we have manager self-service and HR self-service. So the reason why we are calling it as self-service is because it will be they'll be performing their own activities in the system. Okay. Now let me just give you one other example to understand this easily. Let's say there is a person who is a junior analyst who got recently hired with just 1 year of experience. So he is just an employee. So this person doesn't have any of the reportees, which means this person is not a manager and this person is not a HR. So this person is just an employee in the system. Let's assume. So Amit is an employee, right? So let's say junior analyst. Just giving an example here. So when this person would have been given as an access as an employee. So when this person logs into the system, so what is the view that this person will be getting? So Amit can view his own personal information, like what is his address, or his work details like work email or personal email, his phone details, right? Also his basic information like marital status, gender, date of birth. If he wants to update anything, he can update. On his salary, if that access is given. Some sort of basic information like what, in which country that person is working, in which city maybe this person is working. So that sort of basic employee own information. Okay. And if Amit wants to modify something, which is obviously based on the access, if he wants to modify the address, he can do that. That's called as an employee self-service. So which performing the activities for themselves. Okay. Now let's understand manager. So I'll just pick some other person. Okay. So I'll pick Ravi, who is, let's say, senior analyst. Okay. And Ravi is also a manager for Amit. Okay, let's take that example. He is a manager for Amit. So which means Ravi would have got the access for employee self-service as well as manager self-service, right? See, as when Ravi gets into the login, gets into the application. So Ravi should be able to see his own information, which is by default as an employee, Ravi should be able to do that. So along with that, Ravi is also a manager for Amit, which means Ravi should be able to access Amit's information. Maybe let's say like his leave entries, like in what are all the days that Amit has gone on leave, or how much leave balance that Amit is having, right? Also, Amit's maybe some work related information, like what exactly are the working hours for Amit, or what is his, like in which country this person is operating from, what is his job grade, and all these different details. So which means manager self-service is also covered for Ravi, right? Now the next thing. So we can just go with a similar example. We'll pick someone else. So let's say there is a person called Govardhan. Okay. So there is this person who is Govardhan. First thing is this person is an employee in the system. That is by default. Whomever it is, they are first employee in the system. Even if the CEO CEO is an employee first, then the CEO title would have come in, right? So Govardhan is an employee. Let's say Govardhan is having some 3 reportees. Okay. And also this person is working as an HR, which means this person is going to hire an employee, or if someone needs to be terminated, Govardhan can take an action, which means he's also acting as an HR. So I hope now you can try to relate, right? So Govardhan can access his own information, like personal information, everything else. So as well as those 3 reportees information. Maybe let's say like Amit, Ravi are also reporting to Govardhan. So Govardhan can access all these 2 people's information as well as some other person. Along with that, if Govardhan is HR for, let's say, complete India country. Okay. Let's say out of 1,000 people are belonging to India. And for all those 1,000 people, if Govardhan is the HR, Govardhan can access all those 1,000 employees' information. It could be their personal information, work information, salaries, everything. Pretty much what HR can access. So that is what the self-service is. Mainly these 3 types of self-service are available in Oracle in whichever the module that you can consider. Okay, so this is really important because this could be some sort of questions that people would be asking in the interviews, like how many self-services we have and what exactly the significance behind all these 3 self-service. Okay. All right, so I'm hoping I'm making this clear. All right. So I
Yes,
just
yes.
cover, yeah, any questions so far?
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we are going to just try to understand the brief explanation on the types of roles. We are not going to deeper anything on how exactly we can create these things, because it might just give you some extra information for today. So it will make you confused. Let's try to understand the basic difference across these 4 different types of roles. So this is again a very important question for the interviews. How many types of roles we have? If you say that you have worked on the roles, this could be the first question that they will be asking. So types of roles. Now let's just put it in our Excel. So types of roles. So we have something called abstract role, and then we have job role, duty role, and data role. So When you understand the concept of these things, it's very easy for you to remember it. Okay. So if you just look at the terminologies and try to by heart, it won't work that way definitely. So you need to understand the significance on all these four, then it's easy for you to kind of let the interviewer know that you know all these four different types of. Okay. So let's go back. So the first thing is abstract role. So this particular role is assigned directly to the users. So which means, so whatever the page that you have seen it here, let's say I'm just opening up the login. So Abhishek Kumar's user account is here. And here are the roles where currently we don't have anything. So let me try to edit this and click on adding the role. Okay. So first thing is we are talking about the abstract roles. And how many types of abstract roles we have? We just have 3 abstract roles in the entire system. So one is employee, other one is line manager, and other one is contingent worker. And the reason why we call only these 3 of the abstract roles is because so whenever someone is getting hired into the system, right? I might be doing some hiring. Let me just show you that page. Don't worry about the navigation, what I'm going through right now. Just try to understand the example what I'm giving you. Because these navigations we will again come back into this and understand very clearly. So let's say that HR is hiring an employee and I am the HR, right? Okay. Let me just go to home page. And so something my client groups. And I can just go to quick actions and I'll just do a hire an employee. So here we do. Let's say adding a contingent worker. I'll just do this. I'll just get inside. And some basic, whatever that information that you want to fill in, you can enable all these things like driver's license, whatever that you have. And then you can start creating a contractor. So the first thing is whenever you create this particular person as a contingent worker, so there is this abstract role which is called contingent worker will get automatically assigned to this person. Okay. So irrespective of whether this contractor is a solution architect or business analyst or anything else. So it doesn't matter about what role that they are performing in the organization. It's only matter about what is the category that the person is getting hired for, right? So also employee could be even CEO or vice president or any person else, like anyone else, right? But that person is an employee. So along with that, anyone can be a line manager. So even the CEO can be a line manager for 5 or 6 people, right? CEO is a title, but that person's, the basic role is an employee as well as he's a line manager. So along with that, even this contingent worker works, right? That person could be anything, but that person is a contractor. So if you understand in the entire roles concept, so only these 3 are the concepts. So which is not going to define anything about what they are performing in the company. It's only defines so what kind of category that that person is getting hired for. Okay. So that is called abstract role, which is assigned directly to the users irrespective of what they are actually performing in the company. Okay. Now, when you understand other things, you can easily find the difference between this and the other ones. Okay. Now, next comes the job role. Okay. So this is something which we can't assign directly to the users. And we will try to understand why we can't do that directly. So you can see some of the examples are given here are payroll manager or compensation manager, right? Now let's try to relate these 2 roles and understand how it works. So there is an employee in the system, someone with a name called, let's say my name. So Pawan is an employee. But what exactly Pawan is doing in the organization? So he is a payroll manager. So payroll manager is a job and that person is an employee, right? So why we can't assign payroll manager to Pawan directly? Okay, let's understand this. See, Pawan is a payroll manager, but that person could be operating only for India. Let's say ABC Solutions is operating in 10 different countries, right? So let me just go back. So we're talking about the job role. Let's say ABC Solutions is operating in 10 different countries. Okay. And Pawan is a person who is operating in India and he is a payroll manager only for India's population. For India's population, right? And maybe someone else could be for US, UK, or something else, right? So, but Pawan is only for India. Okay. And let's say you have assigned job role to Pawan directly, which means he will be able to access, the payroll information for everyone across 10 different countries. So we should have the restriction of this person should only see the payroll information for India. That security we have to apply, correct? So that is the reason job roles are something which are not assigned to any of the users directly, but instead we can assign data role. We will come to the duty roles. Just keep this aside for a minute. So this data role is something which is going to define what exactly the data that you can access. Okay. So right now this payroll manager job role, whatever that is created. So we can say that payroll manager for India is a separate data role. Payroll manager for US is a separate data role. So we can create 10 different data roles for 10 different countries. And that particular data role will be assigned to the user directly. Is that making sense? Why we are going only with the data roles and not the job roles? Okay. I'm just taking that as is. So if any confusions, we can deal with it later. But right now, this is how it is. So job roles won't be assigned, data roles will be assigned directly to the users. Okay. Now the next thing. So duty roles. So what exactly is a duty role? So we talked about the job role saying that, okay, Pawan is a payroll manager and data role is for India. So these two are clear. But what exactly he can do in the system? So payroll manager is a job role, but what are all the duties or the tasks that he can perform in the system, right? So maybe let's say I can process the payroll or I can reject the payroll processing for some employee. Let's take an easy example. So I am an absence management administrator, which means I can perform the activities like I can apply a leave for anyone else, I can cancel a leave, I can update the leave balance. So all these kind of different tasks that I am performing are called duties, right? So this job role and duty role will be combined with the data role and that will be assigned to the users. Okay. So, and the reason why we are doing that, I have explained you just to control what kind of population that you can see the data. So data role will be assigned, but this is a combination of job and duty as well. Okay. All right. So that's just a high level overview of what exactly the roles concepts are. So we'll try to understand tomorrow and how to create out of, all these four categories. We'll try to create one or two categories. Then you can easily understand on what is the navigation to create and how exactly we can assign these things to the users and how that makes a difference in the UI. Okay. So I just don't want to feed you so much today so that might be heavy for you starting the starting session. So I'll just take a little slow. So I'll just take a quick pass. And out of all the concepts we have discussed or anything else apart from that, if you have anything, so we can kind of cover it up. Any questions from anyone?
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Slide, yes. This one?
See, in actually, while we were developing one report, so I mean, it's like by default, apart from this HCM folder, like we had created one folder called self-service by default as it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, self-service was there, but I just wanted to understand, like, at that time, I didn't inquire much, but I mean, I just wanted to understand, means like, in which cases it was created, the self-service thing.
Okay, so when you say folder got created, where exactly it got created? Are you saying in the BI analytics?
Yeah, BIP publisher, yeah. So inside this custom and then it's a project name and then inside this like payroll, HR are there. So along with this, another folder self-service are created and some of the journey elements were placed, journey reports.
Understood. We might need to get into that in a little deeper, but right now what we're exactly discussing is kind of from a theoretical standpoint, what kind of different self-services we have.
Okay.
We talk about the technical area, like the BI reports and the kind of folders we have. So we can come to that part because I need to understand a little more on what exactly that you're talking about. Maybe I'll talk to you separately on that. Okay.
So actually, my actually self-service was there. That's why it just reminded me. So I thought of
And
like, is that related to something else? This also. That's what.
exactly. I understood your point, but we'll try to understand more and then I can comment on that. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. And may I know what's your name? Because it says something else.
Vinay.
Vinay. Okay. Sure. Perfect. Anything else from anyone?
Oh,
Okay.
so Pawan, like I have one question.
Mhm.
Like like while working in Oracle application, we have the backend development tools like SQL developer and these things. So like while implementing or working on any development items, we can check the impact by checking the database from SQL developer, right? So
We can.
yeah, so like to check the data here in Fusion, I
Hmm.
like there is no much coding in Fusion. So like, do we have to always go to BI Publisher and check the data there, or is there any some other tool also there?
No, there is no other tool. See, there are different ways how we can verify the data. So one is, as you said, you can go to the BIP work area where it's called analysis page, right? Analytics page. And you can write a SQL, you can get the data. Or OTBI you can use, which is an analysis. Quickly drag and drop the fields and you can get the data. So apart from these two in the application, if you want to view the data, so one is that REST API services, which we have. If you have heard about that, we have the API services like SOAP and REST is very user friendly, which if you want to view something, you can even use that to view the data. And
Okay.
SQL connector, as you said, SQL developer is something which you can connect with the database and you can sort of do your own stuff there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
These were the only options.
okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we're almost on the top of the hour. So we can have any other questions for tomorrow's session when we are going to have it. So sessions will be like this. We'll just do a quick recap of what we discussed yesterday for the first 5 minutes, and then we can get into our next topics going forward. Okay. So I think with that note, I'll wrap this up. Tirupati can share the recording across, everyone and then give that access to them. Also, if you can forward them the application URL and the username and password, whatever the case study that I have given today to them, like create your own user and change the user categories, I think they'll be able to perform that by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. All right then. So thank you so much, guys. We can on together in the tomorrow session.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Pawan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you.